Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Her Inspired Mind podcast. This is your host, Rebeka Fillmore. And today I want to talk about childhood trauma and the effect and the impact that it can have in your adulthood. So, the reason I decided to talk about this today is because I just came back from a very impactful and transformative event in Texas. So I know you guys have heard me talk about before. My husband is part of this program community called Rise Up Kings, and they have Rise Up Queens. And so I made my way down a couple weeks ago to be part of the deeper experience. And what we did a lot of was digging into childhood trauma, just seeing if there's any residue still from that, how it's showing up in our lives now as women, as adults. And, I'm very trauma informed, but I wanted to go and experience this because I know that I don't know it all. And I know that we are a never ending human beings that have so many layers to us that self development never ends. Like, I will never stop investing in myself, whether it's through coaching, through programs, masterminds, whatever it is. I want to continue to work on myself because we are programmed as children, and it's like if you have braces, right, to fix your teeth to make them straight, you for the rest of your life you'll have to use a retainer. And so self development continuously and continuing to practice what you learn every single day of your life is what's going to help you to keep moving forward. It's like someone who, didn't have any muscles, but they trained in the gym for years. And if they decide one day to stop, that muscle is little by little going to go away. And so that's why it's so important that we continue to work on ourselves, to continue to educate ourselves so that we don't go back to our old habits and back to our old patterns. So I want to encourage you as you're listening to this episode to reflect first and foremost on your childhood experiences. Think back to any memories you might have, whether they're good or bad. Think back to any emotions that those memories bring up for you and any patterns that you have seen in your life from your upbringing. For example, for me, as we were in this event, I they did this exercise with a bat, right? And as soon as I heard this bat hitting, like I cringed, like my heart started going really fast, and I felt really uncomfortable, and to the point where I had to get up out of my seat and I went to the back. And I had a pillow and like the bat kept hitting, right? And I just broke down crying, like hysterically crying. I got in a ball on the floor. I felt like a little girl who was just scared. And, I'm not sure where this trauma trigger comes from yet when I hear loud noises or stuff like that. And even as I'm talking about it, it makes me tear up, right? Um, the only thing I could think of is, I did experience seeing my sisters go through domestic violence, and there must have been an incident that I witnessed that triggered that for me. And so, as I'm sharing this with you, I always like to keep it real, be vulnerable, because at the end of the day, we're all human, we're all equal. Um, and I want you guys to heal, man. I want you guys to experience the freedom that even if the trauma comes, that you don't sit in it, that you don't have to go to a bottle, that you don't have to go to smoking, you don't have to go to a man, or if you're a man listening to this, a woman, another human being to look to help you with whatever you're feeling. I want you to learn that it's okay to feel your emotions. It's okay to cry. It's okay to scream. It's okay to break down every so often, like emotions are not bad. Like God allows us to feel those emotions, and He created tears for a reason. Like when you cry, that's trauma releasing, that's stress releasing, that's, emotions that maybe you have built up inside of you coming out of your body. And that's a good thing, because when emotions are not let out and they're suppressed, you become depressed, and it causes illnesses in your body. And so, take the time, take the time to reflect and explore those memories, right? And those emotions and any patterns that maybe are not healthy and that you have seen come up in your life over and over again, um, and even in your relationships with other people. And so I want you to understand that um, these past experiences can come up as anxiety, can come up as triggers, maybe a smell, a sound, like I just shared. They can come up as low self esteem, depression. It can come up as you always having problems with other people, whether it's friends, relationships, with your jobs, and just having coping mechanisms that are not healthy. And so by paying attention to how you react and how you are in certain situations or certain interactions, um that's going to help you to learn like what you need to work on in yourself, and it's going to help you to see what recurring behavioral patterns you have, so that you don't stay stuck in those, that you don't continue to make those same mistakes, because life is just a journey of lessons, but you have to learn the lessons so that you can go to the next level. So this is you taking control of your life and your future. You can't, control what happened to you in your past, but you do have control about what you're going to do to move forward in life. And so this is important, right? Because we have a lot of adults in age, but they are children in mind. They are children emotionally. They are adults that maybe throw tantrums. Maybe you're an adult that throws a tantrum, right? But you just didn't know. But now you're aware, right? To look at yourself and be like, okay, how do I act in certain situations? Do I throw adult tantrums, right? Or even adult bullies, right? Like these are things that we need to think about, that we need to reflect on, so that we can change and that we can, become better. And so this is important again because your childhood trauma is going to influence your family dynamic. It's going to influence your relationship with your friends, the kind of romantic partners you attract. A lot of times, uh, for example, I consider myself an empath, right? We can tend to attract people who are narcissistic, people who take advantage of us, quote unquote, right? But with what I've learned through my journey, no one can take advantage of us unless we give them permission. But just wondering, like, why do I keep attracting men who just want to have sex with me, who don't want to marry, who don't want to commit? Or why do I attract men that I give them everything and, they don't want to commit to me, they don't want to marry me, or men that are always cheating on me? Like, why do I keep attracting these kind of men? Men that just want me for sex. They don't even want to put a label on me, right? Because at the end of the day, we are magnets and we attract those kind of people. And we attract them based on where we live in our subconscious mind. So that's why it's so important that you reflect and acknowledge the impact that your childhood trauma has had on you as an adult. And soon here, we'll talk about what steps you can take to begin to heal that and change the dynamic in your life. Because throughout this journey, I want you to do it in a loving and empathetic way. Don't judge yourself. Don't condemn yourself once you become aware of your patterns and where these are coming from. because that's not going to help you. Condemning or, talking down on yourself is no, it's awareness. Like there's a problem, you fix it, right? You don't sit there and look at the problem for years to come, like, oh my God, beating it down. No, awareness is power, knowledge is power. And then when you take the steps to heal, you become even more powerful. So, a few steps that you can take so that you're able to heal and transform your past wounds into more power. The number one thing you want to do is, like I said, become aware, right? And yes, some things you can heal and deal with yourself, but it's always good to seek professional support. So whether you go to counseling, therapy, hire a coach, and just have a safe space where you can explore what your childhood traumas are, what your triggers still are today, what behavioral patterns are still showing up, because you might still be in survival mode because of what you went through as a child. And the second step is to then, once you're getting that help, you're going to need time to rest because it can be very draining. I know when I came back from Texas, like that whole week, I told my husband and my kids, I said, listen, I'm drained. I need time to like rest my mind because it was a lot. It's draining. So you want to make sure then you have days where you can practice self-care, communicate with your family, your friends, take a self-care day off your job or from your business, and just really listen to your body and give it what it needs. And, do things that are going to nourish your mind, like listen to calming music, worship music, um, go and spend time in nature. If you can, take a trip somewhere by yourself, book a room even in your own hometown, just to do nothing and just get off social media, disconnect from the world, get a massage, a pedicure, manicure, just time for you, right? As you're going through this self-healing journey. And, you know, try to just foster that deep connection within yourself, right? Try to foster a deeper connection with God because He can heal those inner wounds that nobody else can. And He can heal that inner child and just show you where He even was in those moments, right? And if you even have anger with God, tell Him because He's not going to get offended. Like He already knows what you feel. And that's just going to help you to just move forward and heal. And so there's different, therapeutic things that you can do, such as breath work. There's art therapy. There's mindfulness based approaches. There's spiritual retreats. There's just so many different things that you can add on top of going to therapy, counseling, and coaching and practicing self care. Um, there's even like supplements that you can take to calm your nervous system and to regulate your nervous system so that you're not on constant stress mode or anxiety mode as well. And the fourth thing you can do is start to create healthy boundaries. If you've been a people pleaser your whole life, it's time to say no. It's time to say no to people who trigger you. It's time to say no to people that aren't going to help you and encourage you in your healing journey. And when you take your rest days and you're communicating to your family and your friends, like, listen, I'm going to be off the grid this weekend. Don't hit me up unless it's like a real dire emergency. And people at first are going to look at you maybe like you're crazy, but that's on them. That's not on you. Like, you need to take care of yourself. You deserve it. You deserve to be the best you, no matter what anybody else thinks. And, you know, you can also do things like journaling. Journaling is such a game changer. Like my son, he's 19 and he went to the Ruck experience as well, but it's called the Crucible for younger men. And he has journaled before, but Um, Now with the journal they gave him, like he's journaling, even his dreams, he's writing his dreams, his emotions, his desires. Like it's something about writing with paper and pen on a piece of paper. It just helps to just take and release everything that is on your mind, and just putting it on paper. It just helps you to be able to cope with life better. And also to reflect, like later on, you can look at your journal and you can be like, wow, like I was having some rough times, but look at me now. So it's great to then use later on to help you to reflect. Another thing you can do and should do is meditate every day. Take time, put some calming music, whether it's 5 minutes. I like to combine that with breath work, because if you're focused on your breath, you're not going to have time to think. But again, like I've suggested before, if any thoughts come in, have your journal beside you so you can write that thought down real quick so that you can release it, so that it's not like looping like a song in your mind. So that you're able to be present with yourself, your body, and just fill your cup up with life, with the breath of life, right? And you can also do yoga, whether you go to a class or look on YouTube. There's plenty of those videos, or any other creative expressions, whether it's art, writing poems. There's just so many different things that you could do to release whatever emotions you have so that they don't stay stuck and that they're removed from your body. And so I want you to embrace your inner strength and your resiliency, like everything that you've gone through in life, you know, and you're here today, and you're going to be doing things to help you heal that child, that little girl or that little boy within you. And you're going to be able to see what you have done, be living as that child that is within you, and just loving on them. Print a picture out of a childhood you and look at it every day and love on that child every single day, and make it a mission to dig deep. Sometimes trauma you don't remember because your mind protects itself, so it like tries to forget. So there might be some things that are going to be difficult. Again, that's why it's so important that you get professional help and support to help you navigate, as you go through those different emotions. And also, there's support groups for different things, different traumas. Um, Join a supportive community, right? I have a community on Facebook. If you would like to become part of it, it's the Inspire Her Within community for women. And, connect with the different women in that group. And, you would be surprised when we women show up and we are vulnerable and we open, how much more we do have in common. We all have something in common, but we would never know unless we share, right? And it takes being vulnerable. And there's strength in becoming vulnerable, because then you're an open book, and then you have to be less afraid of what people think about you. And it's just very therapeutic to do that. And on top of that, practice forgiveness. I know that this is something that is not easy for a lot of people. A lot of people say, I can never forgive someone for what they did to me, or I forgive, but I'm never going to forget, or they're dead to me, or whatever it might be. But when you hold a grudge and you don't forgive, it takes a lot of energy from you. I'm saying like a lot. It takes a lot to go out of your way to avoid someone, to be hateful, to be bitter, to be angry. And so I encourage you to pray, to journal, and write a list of the people that you need to forgive and what you need to forgive them for, and what emotions they brought up in you, and just give it to God. Like forgiveness is for you, it's not for them. It doesn't mean that you have to then get back into a relationship with them. They don't even need to know that you forgave them. It's for you, it's for your mental health, for your sanity, so that you could be more at peace. And on top of forgiving others, you need to forgive yourself maybe for some things. I know I felt guilt for some things that I needed to forgive myself for. And since I did that, I feel so much more free. So I highly, highly encourage you, if you're someone who has a hard time forgiving, please take the steps to forgive, because you're just gonna see how much you're gonna heal and how much better you're gonna feel. And on top of that, I just want you to embrace this journey of personal growth and transformation as you heal, as you dig in within yourself, and you start to integrate these different healing practices into your daily life. Because, like I said, self healing journey, self development, it is a lifelong journey, but it's so worth it. You know, you once you start to heal, you're going to be able to open up yourself to attract more abundance, more things that you want. Because when you hold on to resentment and you hold on to unforgiveness and you hold on to trauma and fears, they hold you back from living fully in your God given potential. So, is it worth taking the steps to heal your childhood trauma? Absolutely. So, if you feel like you need help or direction in taking the steps to heal, send me an email at rebekafillmore@gmail.com, and we can schedule a time to talk more through this. If I can help you, then I will. If I can't, then I will send you some recommendations to someone who can. But I definitely wouldn't pass the opportunity for you to begin this healing journey, because it's going to help you so much. And if you're a mom and you have children, do it for them, so that you don't project your wounds onto those children or your grandchildren. It's never too late. It doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter what your circumstances are. You can always start today. So thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it on your stories, on your Facebook. Send it to someone who might need to hear this episode. Also, please be so kind to leave me a review. You can do that on Apple Podcast. And that way they could share this podcast more internationally. I thank you so much for listening, and I'll talk to you guys on the next episode. God bless.